All right, guys, moving on to my sixth position in the Celtic Cross. This is the Before You card, often called like the near future. It's where the energies are headed, where they're going. It can indicate like events, situations that will come into the querent's life in the near future. So in my case, if this is a 6-month look ahead, a 6-month card reading, more likely it would be the last couple of months of that 6-month time frame. So maybe like 4 months away is where I tend to go with the near future card, or the Before You card. But this card does do something really cool. I don't think that most of us would agree that that the future is very fixed. You know, it's very fluid. It's always changing. So this is one of those cards that it gives you a glimpse of where all these energies are headed, giving you the opportunity to transform, or to change things, or to make progress, you know, in a different direction. So here, of course, in the number 6 position, in the near future position, we have the 8 of Cups reversed. This is sort of, I don't know, I'm just trying to do this quick. A feeling of like abandonment might be experienced, some sort of an accident. She's not leaving though, like literally, look at that card reversed. Like she's not leaving, she's staying. Maybe someone leaves her, I don't know, a husband or a boyfriend, or a family member passing even. It could be something like that. Or it might be more, you know, something much less serious, but either way, she's able to hold up through this. There's a bit of positivity to it. I'd say she probably just needs a rest at that point, but has survived and was able to survive, even though it's been really sort of an emotional upheaval of some sort. There could also be some relation to this number 3, what's on her mind situation, this what did we say, this sort of shameful feeling she's been feeling. There could be some relation there. Those are the kind of things that you really have to take your time and look at and notice all these relationships. I don't want this to be 7 hours long, so I'm going to move on though. Number 7 position. Number 7 is the self, or the lesson card. And here, oh, that's kind of cool in this reading actually. We have the 6 of Swords upright, because even though it's still kind of upright, counterclockwise. Upright 6 of Swords. So in a way, this position is kind of the crux of the entire reading, really. You know, this is the karmic lesson to be learned. This is what the struggle has been all about. This is even sort of like the event. It can be internal, it can be external, but it's sort of like the event that is going to play out over the next 6 months. And I like the whole 6-month thing comes from that Akashic Records book, and I just so fell in love with it. She has this idea that every 6 months we have the opportunity to create a real change within ourselves, to reinvent ourselves every 6 months. And I love that. Doesn't that just feel right, that time frame? It's like we can shed our skin like a snake a couple times a year, you know? But yeah, every 6 months we have a chance to change, to really more so to change our negative patterns, our negative habits, our negative behaviors. And that's, you know, that's what this position is really getting at. But another way to look at it is really like this is a card that the client or the querent fears, hates, doesn't trust. They have some sort of negative attitude or negative outlook towards whatever card is placed in this important position. And this can really be the thing that blocks them from moving forward. You know, until this lesson is learned, you will keep repeating the same thing over and over and over. It'll just keep recurring. That's the law of karma. So what does this card mean here? It's it's actually kind of hard to do a reading while I keep stopping to explain every position. Excuse me, but I would say that the querent here, she oh, that's interesting. I don't think she trusts herself to be able to navigate these waters, because like I said, they have a mistrust of whatever is in this position. I could see people sort of jumping to the conclusion and saying that, like, oh, the lesson is she needs to learn to quit her job, she needs to leave. Look at that card, this is the Six of Swords, and you know, it's someone on a boat being taken away to a new place. But for me, like I said, this is something that this is the lesson to be learned, something that she is a little bit unsure of, and I think it harkens back to this insecurity that she has also about being able to protect and care for her family. That's who else is in the boat there. Maybe she's steering that boat herself. I feel like there's a bit of fear there that she won't be able to care for her family, get them to a safe harbor, you know, and navigate the waters. But I think what the card is saying, and the lesson that she actually really has to learn, is that she is actually a very wise person. She has the knowledge, she has the experience, and she has the wisdom to bring whatever is, you know, these beautiful ideas that's inside of her to fruition in her life and in the life of her family, but especially what she has inside can be brought out, you know. I think there's a bit of advice there too, that, you know, really all that she does need and everything she loves is already in that boat with her. She's already got it. She's got all the tools really at her disposal. She's just not recognizing it. She probably, like, I wouldn't say this to her face, but she thinks she's stupid and incapable of taking control. But this is like that science card, you know. She really understands how people work and how the world works. She's got some insight into the situations that she's dealing with at work and at home, and she needs to trust that because she's smart. Yeah, she's got to just sort of trust herself to be able to take herself and her family to a higher ground where they will be protected. Okay, so the next card is that card I was talking about at the beginning of the video, that always gave me such a hard time. I always heard people, oh, that's kind of cool, there's a court card there, actually, that'll be good to go over. It's always often called the environment card. I called it the environment or the house card. And it was one of those things, I always read it described, the position anyway, as, you know, what's going on in your household or with your friends around you, or what's influencing you from your environment. Now, I had such a hard time figuring out how to interpret like any card in that position. I guess it's actually kind of easier in that situation. If it is a court card, it's like that person from your environment is influencing you. But any other card in that position, I felt like more of these cards were about, you know, things happening to the querent, or things the querent or the client is going through and experiencing on her journey, and blah, 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 blah. So it wasn't until the Akashic Records book that I found a new way to sort of look at it, and it has been amazingly accurate in every single tarot reading. I love this position now. I no longer fear it. I think it's actually a really, really cool way to look at the number 8 position of the house. And what she says in that book is that this position shows how others see the querent, how others perceive the querent or the client, and how others judge them. She calls it like a character reference, and I just friggin' love that. So you can imagine, right? Any card in that position can be telling you a little bit about how others see this person. Now, if this is something that's like overtly negative or something that you're just drawn to this negative aspect of it, it may be something you have to deliver to the client in a softer way, or it may be something you don't say at all. Maybe it just tells you as the reader a little bit more about how this person works, and about their life. It's the kind of card that I don't think always 100% needs to be shared with them. You kind of gloss over it sometimes, but it's really, really important. It often says an awful lot about the client. And I think even like getting this outside perspective of this person, like the perspective from another person, on your client can show you a lot too, or tell you a lot about where that person is on their journey. Whether you're talking about, you know, their mental growth, their emotional growth, their journey with their career, or their spiritual evolution. It's interesting how that can have a connection with this card. It doesn't always mean that other people are right, but it's this sort of objective view of the client. But it is usually pretty accurate and has a lot to do with how they interact with their environment. So now in this case, actually, it's kind of different because I do have a court card in that position, and there haven't been any other court cards actually yet, has there? And only one major so far. But this, you know, being a court card here, I think it most certainly would represent another person. And in this case, someone who, like I said at the beginning, how court cards have some power over the client. I think this, look at that, it's probably like her boss at work, right? This dude who is probably not intentionally trying to hold her back or make her feel held back, but, you know, is just trying to get the most out of her, and she's viewing it as he's sort of he's not reversed, he's upright. I don't think there's any ill will really from him towards her, but maybe there is some of this, you know, whatever this situation up here was, lingering. It's like he's got something over her, and is maybe not through any fault of his own, but still making her sort of remember that, that he's got something over her head and has power over her. Even if this King of Pentacles, probably boss man, probably even, is really just trying to guide or trying to supervise and just trying to do his job, that's the effect that he's having on her. So yeah, that's a court card in that position there. So the last two cards here, I do always kind of turn over together, just my own weirdo thing. I'll go through them separately and explain each one, but I like to look at them together because I really feel like they're an important set. So in the number 9 position here, often called your hopes or your fears, I tried to look at it a little bit more as your advice card. It's really kind of that simple. It can be something that the client's not aware of, but that they need to know. It can help them. It's a bit of advice from higher self, however you want to look at it. In some cases, it can be more of a warning type of thing. In some cases, it can be more of a helpful advice kind of thing. Sometimes it's something to look out for. But either way, it's just a bit of guidance. So here in this case, with the Ace of Swords upright, I think it's really this interesting continuation of the Six of Swords. You know, we've established that she does see things very clearly, and this card is really just saying she's got to take that and run with it, man. You know, maybe in the past she let her head lead too much, you know, and didn't put much heart into it and trust that. But honestly, that is sort of exactly what is called for in this situation. You know, I think she needs to maintain a clear head, a clear mind. She's in the process of like a fairly big change. She's assuming control of her destiny. And that's exactly what she needs to do. I do find very often, kind of like I just said, like she's assuming control. That, you know, it's something that is often they feel already. They feel like this is the answer to their problem. It's not usually anything sort of new, but sometimes it is. Anyway, the number 10 position, we have the Four of Wands upright up there, and this is your outcome. This is the final outcome. This card for sure influences or aids or somehow affects every single other card in the reading. That's why I will often go back through and just look over everything, knowing, especially this last card, but these last two cards, everything will start to fall really, really even more into place, although we've been telling this really great story so far. We now sort of have the key to the entire spread. But this is also called like your distant future card, right? This is where things are headed in the 6 months, within the 6-month period. This is what you're going to see. This is what you will have created for yourself. This is what will have manifested. It's where all the cards are flowing towards that final outcome, that number 10 card. Very often I feel like there's some sort of higher transformation, I've heard it called, that would follow this. You know, it leads to a big change after, and sort of lets you know whether or not this lesson will be learned, will be integrated, for better or worse anyway. Also, like we said before, with the near future, this is the 6 months and beyond, but you usually start to see it within 6 months. These last two cards offer you the opportunity to back out of this situation also. It's always very interesting to see where things are headed. By the way, this woman should totally not quit her job. Because look at this beautiful ending, this beautiful outcome. If we follow everything we've talked about really so far, and if she learns this karmic lesson, all these fears and worries that she had about her family being stable and protected are like, Jesus. Actually, that's kind of cool. The Four of Wands is the card that we're going to do our next video on. So that's kind of cool to see it there. But this is stability. This is cohesion with others, with society, with your community. But this card is really saying that something good, that something enduring and lasting will have been built by this point. And maybe not even just, referring to her work, but also to this inner karmic lesson, this inner journey that she's been on, where she's learning to trust herself. And I certainly see this fear of not being able to take care of her family and those she loves really actually being resolved within 6 months, and the work life sort of returning to some semblance of ease and stability. So yeah, we've answered her question, and we've also pulled together so much information about other things that are sort of affecting this situation. This is why a Celtic cross is so wonderful. So at this point, I would have done what I just did, gone back over, maybe briefly, maybe very time-consumingly, depending on what time is allotted here. But definitely at this point, after all the cards have been revealed, this is when I look to see too, like this overall kind of how many cups, how many majors, how many courts. I'll take a look at all that kind of stuff and see what other information I can glean. Glean or gleam? Glean. There's certainly not a lot of pentacles, only 2 pentacles. There seems to be a lot of swords and cups. There's this back and forth between 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Is there 3 and 3 of each? That's funny. This back and forth between cups and swords, between her head and her heart, as we already sort of talked about a little bit here. And there's only one major arcana card, but it's in a really, really interesting place. It's what's crossing her. I don't think that it's like this amazing spiritual revelation that she's going through, but it is a really, really important step in her life. And she should be made aware of that, this fake person that I am describing. Okay, back to reality now. But basically she's got this, this need for patience to see through these little conflicts at work and realize how small they really are. And I think she knows that on some level. She needs to stay put. The boss is doing what he's doing because of who he is. But this too shall pass. Maintain or just recognize in yourself that you do have this power to really decipher the signs around you. You have this maybe an intuition about people, this knowledge of how they work, and you can work your way in and out of their paths to get where you want to be, to get to the Four of Wands there, and it'll happen. She's looking at something not very fun. Probably a bit of a loss, I would say, even And we could lay more cards to really learn more about what that Eight of Cups really is. In probably 3 or 4 months, but by 6 months, you know, she really will have that stability that she's looking for. All right, I'm going to wrap things up there. If you guys have any more questions about how to do a Celtic cross, or how your Celtic cross might differ from my Celtic cross, or if you want to share how you go about it, I would love to see. So what I do want to try and do at some point in the near future is put out a video of me just doing a Celtic cross and not explaining the whole thing as I go. So hang tight for that. And yeah, Celtic crosses are fun, guys. Take care. I'll see you soon. Bye.